Okay, welcome everybody to our last coffee chat of this school year. Bienvenidos a todos a nuestro último charla del año. Muchas gracias otra vez por su apoyo sobre los últimos 2 meses que hemos tenido sobre estos tiempos difíciles, ¿verdad? I just want to thank everybody for your support, specifically over the last year, and then looking at the last 2 months. Thank you so much for keeping us moving forward, keeping us motivated, and keeping us challenged. Again, thank you so much for joining us throughout the year on our coffee chats. One of the things I also just want to make a quick shout out about is we this year didn't get a chance to thank our volunteers. As you know, some of you join us for end of year breakfast, lunch experience, and due to COVID, we weren't able to do that. So hopefully next year we're able to thank our volunteers. Les quería dar las gracias a todos nuestros voluntarios. Como saben, cada año hacemos algo al fin del año que los convivimos con ustedes, comimos juntos, platicamos, y como no pudimos este año, nomás quería dar las gracias a todos nuestros voluntarios. So let's dive right in. So Rosalinda nos va a apoyar con las traducciones. Rosalinda will be helping us with the translation just to move it along a little bit faster for you all to respect your Friday. So one of the questions that keeps coming up, and we'll make sure to do some more communication around this, is how many more days do our students have with distance learning? When is the last day of school? That kind of thing. So just as a reminder, the last day of distance learning is next Thursday, May 28th. Keep in mind that the coming Monday is a holiday, so there will be no distance learning that day. Rosalinda?
Solamente me presento, soy Rosalinda, les voy a estar ayudando a traducir lo que está diciendo Mike, solamente para mover la presentación un poquito más rápido y respetar su tiempo. Una de las preguntas que se ha venido seguido es el último día de aprendizaje a distancia, que va a ser el 28 de mayo, jueves 28 de mayo, y también un recordatorio que no va a haber clases el lunes. Y me supongo que quisieron decir mayo 25, Mike, o es el typo? ¿O June 1st?
El primero, el lunes que viene, no hay clase.
Por eso, pero es mayo 25.
Oh, perdón, gracias. Es un typo.
Yeah. Fue un error. La clase, no va a haber clases debido a Memorial Day y es el 25 de mayo, que es este lunes.
Gracias, Rosalinda. Thank you. There's a typo there. Next Monday, the 25th, no class. Moving on, so meal distribution, there were some questions with regards to, are we going to continue serving meals into the summer? We made the decision this week to continue providing meal service throughout the summer. The date on here is still tentative with regards to July 22nd. We're still trying to figure out when the best time to stop the summer meal service, so that way we don't overlap with our back to school registration, which starts on July 23rd. And then as a reminder, school's supposed to resume on August 10th. And those days will be Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay. So, solamente un recordatorio también, vamos a tener distribución de comidas los lunes y los miércoles hasta por medio del verano. Tentativamente ahorita tenemos el 22 de julio como el último día, ya que el 23 de julio empieza la registración ORCA, y el 10 de mayo 10 de agosto es el primer día de regreso de clases.
Muchas gracias. Let's talk a little bit about events. So I talked a lot about the 8th grade promotion already. Some of you didn't attend last week, and you sprinkle in here and there. But our 8th grade promotion will be Friday, May 29th, which is next week. And the way that will work, it will be a 1-hour Zoom session from the comfort of everybody's home and safety, right? And then we are inviting our families with graduating students to come to OCEAA to come and pick up their annual special meal from our garden grill that is sponsored by them. And then also during that mini celebration, we will have a couple things to give to our students, and also provide them with their promotion certificate signed by Ms. Collins.
Solamente algunos recordatorios sobre los eventos que se aproximan. La promoción de 8º grado va a ser el 29 de mayo, el viernes. De 9 a 10 vamos a tener una pequeña celebración para nuestros estudiantes, todo en la comodidad de su casa y seguridad, de 9 a 10, y también vamos a tener la comida especial en celebrar a los estudiantes a las 11:30 ese mismo día.
And just as a, my little sneak peek, right now we're actually doing, we're composing a video for that Zoom presentation. So we've got students trickling in today, 8th grade students with a parent, to do the video recording and taking some pictures. It's pretty awesome to see some of our students and families engage with us back again. I know it's been a little challenging over the last couple of months, but just at the end I'll share that picture again, but it's pretty warm and fuzzy experience out there.
Y también queremos compartir que estamos trabajando con nuestros estudiantes y nuestros padres de 8º grado y estamos tratando de capturar un pedacito de ellos para poder compartir con todos ustedes como forma de, como celebración para todos ustedes.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to toss it over to Ms. Collins to address the kinder celebration, and then just as a reminder, remind you all parents about the parent conference options.
Por eso se lo va a pasar a Kristen para que hable un poquito sobre la celebración de Kinder y las conferencias de padres en junio.
Great, thank you. Gracias y buenos días. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, the Kinder team is having a virtual class party next week, Thursday on May 28th. So this will be an opportunity for teachers and their students to have a celebration to mark the end of the year. And they're also preparing gifts and certificates for their students, and they will be in touch with Parents by Class Dojo about how to pick up those items for your students.
Obviamente, gracias. El equipo de Kinder va a estar celebrando a nuestros estudiantes de Kinder el 28 de mayo. Va a ser también una celebración por medio de Zoom. Y obviamente solamente queremos celebrar. Toda esa información se le va a mandar por Class Dojo y parte de eso van a hacer una celebración y también van igual que Octavo, le van a dar un certificado a los estudiantes.
Okay, so parent conferences. Ms. Collins, you want to address that one?
Sure. As I've said before, by this time, hopefully most of you have heard from your teachers via Class Dojo or other means about the availability of conferences for you to have about your students' progress during distance learning. I have made it an expectation that conferences are offered to all parents. They are optional, though you do not have to have one if you're feeling like you don't need to have that touch point. And the purpose, again, is to just have a chance to talk through the progress your child has made during this time, any challenges or things to celebrate about your students' growth during this time, and also recommend some resources or activities that you might like to do with your child over the summer, just again to help prevent learning loss.
So, brevemente, para el 1 y el 3 de junio, esas son las fechas que estamos ofreciéndole a los padres que se reúnan con los maestros. Hasta ahorita esperamos que ya haya escuchado un poco de sus maestros y hayan podido o tenido la oportunidad de conectar con ellos de alguna forma. Obviamente se ofrece a todos los padres, pero también es opcional. Solamente el propósito de las conferencias es pues para platicar sobre el progreso de los estudiantes por medio del aprendizaje a distancia y pues también para conversar sobre las cosas que han sido buenas, las celebraciones, igual también los retos de los estudiantes. Y por último, las maestras también pueden compartirles algunos recursos que están disponibles para que los estudiantes trabajen durante el verano.
Muy bien. And I just thought about one more topic for you, Ms. Collins, if you can address it, the summer packet process that we're developing, and of course we're still working through the distribution of that plan.
Sure. So grade levels are going to be providing through 5th grade, I should start TK through 5th grade, maybe providing a paper packet to help give some activities that students can do over the summer that are relevant to their grade level and that are appropriate for students to do. So these would be routine things that your children would already have had practice doing when they were in the classroom with their teachers. Or it could be, for example, redistributing some of the math module workbooks and parts that they've now had during virtual learning that they could go back and practice again in the workbook form.
Otro tema es sobre la distribución de paquetes de verano para los estudiantes. La señora Collins dice que eso es para los grados de primero a quinto. Estos paquetes es solamente como para repaso de los estudiantes. Sería en forma de repaso solamente, cosas que ya los estudiantes han visto durante el ciclo escolar. Y algo que sean prácticas, módulos de matemáticas. Todavía estamos planeando cómo se va a distribuir. En cuanto sepamos, nosotros nos comunicamos con ustedes, pero esa es la idea.
And these are really just supplemental. We are not providing you a packet to run summer school all summer. If you find them useful and helpful for you and your child to have something to do and to have a learning activity, please enjoy them, but you are not going to be provided with a summer curriculum.
Obviamente solamente un comentario es solamente suplemental, no es para como suplir un programa extensivo del verano, es solamente algo que puede ser útil para ustedes y para sus estudiantes durante este tiempo.
We understand that there are some parents and families who are going to feel like we are done with school, and others who are saying, give me more school. So it's really just to suit your own needs.
Básicamente para lo que sea necesario para usted. Algunas personas ya quieren que termine el ciclo escolar y hay otras personas que quieren un poquito más de material. Es solamente para lo que usted, su estudiante, necesita.
Gracias. And since I have all the parents captive here, or at least a percentage of them, also, could we address the survey, Ms. Collins, with regards to the Healthy School Survey?
Sure. So every 2 years, we participate in something called the Cal School Surveys. It's a series of 3 surveys, one for parents, one for staff, and one for students. That helps us get information on different areas of how we do as a school or how students are feeling being connected to school, et cetera. And that information is helpful for our planning and helping see where our areas of strength are and our areas that can be further developed as a school.
Otro tema fue la encuesta sobre la salud de la escuela. Está capturado en 2 años y participan los estudiantes, padres y el personal. Y lo que hace esta encuesta es que nos ayuda a saber cómo estamos trabajando como escuela y nos ayuda a planificar para seguir desarrollándonos como una organización estudiantil.
Mm-hmm.
So I had just had those surveys ready to administer live. They can be done online by both parents, staff, and students. And then we have the school closures. And so it really didn't make sense to send those out in a time of real turmoil and uncertainty.
Esos encuestas ya estaban listos para distribuir, pero obviamente con el cierre de la escuela y con tanta incertidumbre no sigue lógico para que se fueran distribuidos o mandados.
So in the intervening weeks, the organization that prepares those surveys for the state of California has created some new surveys that are related to the new distance learning reality. And so what we would like to do is share those surveys with you and give you as parents the opportunity to complete them. They are available in Spanish and English, and we hopefully should be sending out the link to those surveys within a few days.
Yeah, we might actually be able to send it today via the school bulletin.
Okay, great.
So, obviamente la organización que nos ayuda con esas encuestas, conforme la incertidumbre y nuestra situación actual, han hecho una nueva encuesta y está basado a la distancia, a aprendizaje de distancia y obviamente la misma realidad de hoy. Va a estar disponible en inglés y en español. El enlace va a estar también disponible para que el personal, los estudiantes y los padres lo tomen. Va a estar listo, dice Mike, que tal vez pueda que salga hoy enlazado con el...
Bulletin.
Gracias.
Okay, yeah, great. And so, yeah, so if your participation in that, your feedback would be greatly valued. And also I did just want to share that I would like to continue communicating via email over the summer, perhaps periodically or different points with some of our parent leadership groups. So we have parent leaders on ELAC, we have parent leaders on our school site council, and we have FSO leaders. And so I have also shared on occasion when I could benefit from their feedback as parents, like just kind of giving them previews or ask for input, and I would like to continue doing that as well. It's important to hear from our parent perspectives.
Valoramos mucho su participación en esas encuestas. También queremos tratar de mantener la comunicación con todos el grupo de liderazgo de padres del FSO de ILAC. Esto nos beneficia como escuela y queremos mantener eso vivo.
Okay, so with that, now we can get back on track as to what's on the PowerPoint slide. So state budget challenges. Let me move us forward here and admit someone in this waiting room. Okay, so some of you may have heard that the state of California revised their statewide budget in May, which was last Thursday, was when we received the information with regards to the changes in the state's budget. And so the biggest takeaway for schools, K-12 schools across the state of California, is all schools and school districts will be getting a 10% cut for the revenue stream called LCFF. It's the local control funding formula that I believe Governor Brown implemented while he was in that position. One second, I've got a couple people in the waiting room. So for us, we were doing some forward thinking because we were already hearing some rumblings out in the community with other education leaders, and I saw a variety of press releases, and obviously LA Times was reporting these analysis and these updates throughout the state of California before the governor released its budget. And so we presented to our board last week with regards to the projections on budget cuts coming to specifically how it impacted OCEAA. And so, unfortunately, we got the confirmation from the governor the next day when we presented to the board that we were thinking that we're going to get about a 10% cut in our budget. Most of the schools here in California receive their funding locally. The government only provides about 10% of funding to schools here in California and even across the country. And this image here kind of gives you an overview on the LCFF funding that I was talking about, and it provides you kind of a snapshot on where the money sources come from: property taxes and state taxes. As many of you know, you may know a neighbor that owns a business. You may own a business, and businesses are closed during this time because of the stay-at-home orders, right? So because of that, there's less taxable revenue that the state is getting in their bucket to provide resources or revenue to public agencies across the country. So when there's no revenue, that means they've got to figure out how to balance their budget. And unlike the federal government, they can't print dollars here in the state of California, right? So they're relying on the support of the federal government to provide some type of relief. At this point, from what we're hearing, there's a lot of pushback from the federal government providing additional relief funding to schools. There's a small amount that they are projecting to provide to the schools here in California. For us, it's about $120,000 of relief funding, which honestly doesn't do anything for us. It does, we'll take it, of course, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at the 10% cut for schools, that's a pretty big number. For us, it's about a little over $300,000 in budget cuts for us, based on what we know today. So we're hopeful that the federal government will step up and provide some relief to the state of California for public programs such as schools. I'll pause there. Sorry, Rosalinda, I kind of just got a little excited there.
Se emociona mucho cuando empieza a hablar de finanzas y eso, pero en realidad, solamente como para que tengan un resumen, obviamente, como han estado escuchando, el COVID nos ha impactado a todos, tanto como local y estatal y global. Entonces, con esto sabemos que vamos a tener algunos retos con nuestros presupuestos. Conforme el gobernador confirmó, ya habíamos hablado con la mesa directiva, pero ya con la confirmación del gobernador, que va a haber una deducción de 10% a los fondos que recibimos. Como ven en la foto, en las imágenes, nosotros no somos fundados como con impuestos de propiedad, al igual del Estado, y los dos se implementan mutuos, pero sí, como el local y el estado han sido impactados, pues obviamente nos va a impactar como a 300,000, ¿dijiste?
300,000, yeah.
Sí, 300,000.
300,000.
Ajá, go for it.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention, our mission here at OCEAA is to educate your kids. And that is what we're going to focus on. We're going to have to be creative about how we continue to do that. Obviously, we have a variety of different levels of support and a variety of different things that we do here at OCEAA, right? We've got our Guardian Girl program, we've got our KEDS program, and a variety of other things that we do. So we really need to focus on our mission to educate your students and get you the academic outcomes that we've been providing to you over the last few years.
Obviamente esto no cambia nuestra misión siempre va a ser educar a sus estudiantes y entonces lo tenemos que hacer de una forma creativa y pensar de la mejor manera para reunir tanto como los programas que ofrecemos con el Susan, con Garden Grill y con el programa después de clases, pero a final de cuentas nuestra meta es continuar haciendo lo que hacemos, es educar a sus estudiantes.
Okay, so with that, we're in the process now to start looking at our budget line item by line item and looking at previous projections as to where we can reallocate funds for things that were fully used the year before or the year before that to figure out how we can get a little bit resourceful with the limited funds that we do have. Just imagine, they're expecting schools to do all these things to reopen with less operating staff, right? We were already running a tight ship, and now they're expecting schools in this US to do all these things to reopen the school in a different way, reimagine the facilities and operations and implementation of programming, and now they're trying to remove funds, right? So we're in a tricky situation. We're not the only school, right? All schools in the US will be facing these challenges.
Entonces ahorita estamos en el proceso de revisar nuestro presupuesto y vamos a estar yendo línea con línea para asegurarnos que podemos alocar ciertos fondos en otras áreas o solamente poder hacer cambios para asegurarnos que estamos dando lo mejor. Es impresionante de ahora las expectativas que tenemos menos recursos y menos tal vez personal. Entonces, pero al igual tenemos que continuar proveyendo la misma calidad de educación a sus estudiantes. Entonces, no somos la única escuela que estamos sufriendo esto, pero obviamente es complicado.
And Rosalinda, I just sent you a question I received, if you can read that so we can address it now.
Okay, so, una pregunta para el siguiente ciclo de clases se iniciará a larga distancia o si se va a regresar físicamente. So she's basically asking if we are going to return long distance or.
Okay, thank you. We'll address that in a slide or two, or next maybe. So ahorita le respondemos a su pregunta. Vamos a platicar sobre eso en un momento.
And I also have another question. Okay, so it's the same.
Okay, gracias. Any questions right now at this point? Again, feel free to send a question in the chat if you want to do it privately, if you want to do it all, if you want to unmute yourselves. Any questions out there? We've got a lot of work to figure this puzzle out, but we will get to the bottom of it. Okay. So moving on. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk a little bit about the reopening strategies that we're looking at. We do plan to open in some manner. Right now we're looking at planning for two models. The first model will be something like what we've seen before. Obviously, this is our preference to reopen as we have in the past, right? All students come, no condensed classes, no rotating groups, access to a playground, access to a garden grill, things like that. Obviously, that would be a dream come true at this point, but we know that the writing is on the wall with regards to recommendations that CDE sending out, CDC sending out. We also have to follow local health agency recommendations in order. So we have a lot of stakeholders that we need to follow in order to reopen in a safe way for you and your children.
Obviamente tenemos bastante que hacer pero obviamente que tenemos dos modelos para la reapertura de OCEAA. Tenemos la número 1, que es la que preferimos, y la número 2, que sería como combinar entre dos. La primera, obviamente, implementaríamos todas las guías que el CDC nos está recomendando por la seguridad de sus estudiantes y de nuestro personal y nosotros, al igual de ustedes. Y el otro es que le digo que sería combinado un poquito de estar físicamente en la escuela y otro aprendizaje a distancia.
Gracias. So the second model that we're planning for, and this comes with a variety of layers as well. It's not as easy as we would like it to be, right, Ms. Collins? So Ms. Collins working really hard with her team to really think about the academic program and what that's going to look like based on the things that they're doing, researching things that have worked or haven't worked with our community with regards to this distance learning approach. So they're looking at this and working really hard on that part. Once that phase or that model or that layer of the cake is done, we're going to start to layer on top the different divisions here at OCEAA. So for example, I talked about the academics piece, right? What does KEDS look like? What does Garden Grill look like? Operations team managing our reception team, right? Playground, things like that. So those are the other departments that we're diving into and figuring out what we could do. And then themselves, these managers are tasked with also looking at different options, plan A, B, or C, to roll this into the reopening plan that Ms. Collins will be rolling out. And I guess we'll pause there and throw it over to Rosalinda if Ms. Collins, if you can add anything else on your side with regards to this topic.
Con ambas modelos hay una serie de capas o de cosas que tenemos que cubrir. Obviamente para todo vamos a hacer un plan de contingencia porque todo hasta ahorita está muy incierto. Había una pregunta, they're asking about the class size, if will it remain or smaller. Nuevamente, la pregunta es que si las clases van a ser un poco pequeñas o van a ser igual. Todo vamos a seguir las recomendaciones del CDC y esa es una de ellas. Entonces, nuevamente estamos haciendo planes con todos los gerentes de cada departamento, Garden Grill, KEDS y la área académica que es de Ms. Collins, al igual la operación que es como el personal de recepción y todo. Entonces estamos aún planeando todo eso.
Ms. Collins, is there anything you'd like to add?
Sure. So I think I caught a question about class size.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. So we are staffing for the same number of teachers that we were already planning to staff. So, and that includes an addition of a third teacher to the 4th grade team. So if everybody was returning to the building, right, class size would be about what it had been, with the exception of 4th grade having one more teacher on that team, making that class size around 25. If we are not coming back to conditions where all of our students can be in the building at the same time, then we would still have each teacher having a responsibility for, right, a full size of their class, but they might only see half of their class for some part of the day and the other half for a different part of the day. So class sizes could become smaller in a more practical sense, depending on how the organization of instruction happens next year.
Con cualquier módulo que decidamos proceder, vamos a tener que trabajar con el mismo número de personal, con solamente adición de uno de tercero y uno de cuarto, porque tenemos un grupo más. Si en todo caso estamos mencionando sobre la cantidad de estudiantes por salón, estamos viendo opciones tanto como tener una parte A y como dos grupos que vengan en diferentes tiempos para mantener el grupo pequeño, pero todo eso en organización, todavía estamos trabajando en ello.
There was another question from Christina regarding, is there a chance that we will not be returning at all to campus? Based on what we know today and what we're hearing, I think that it will be most likely a hybrid model. Obviously, like the governor has talked a lot about, following the data, following science. And so, if that famous curve goes for a second curve, then I think they're going to have to, at the state level, implement another stay-at-home order, which will impact this planning, if that makes sense. Ms. Collins, do you want to add anything else to that?
Rosalinda, do you want to translate first?
Sí, una de las preguntas es que si vamos a regresar a la escuela o si hay una oportunidad de que sea todo virtual. Nuevamente estamos tratando de ver cuál es la mejor opción y vamos a seguir las órdenes del gobernador, pero lo más probable es de que va a ser como algo que sea una combinación de los dos.
So what I would add to that is just, again, to reinforce that however we're planning to reopen, we also have to have in place a plan for how there would be a quick pivot to stay-at-home learning. So any reopening plan is going to have to include a much more robust technology element so that switch could happen as quickly and seamlessly as possible.
Es solamente también de reforzar, dependiendo cuál opción lleguemos a tomar, porque si en todo caso es virtual, pues vamos a tener que rápidamente y lo más posible de que sea una transición que no impacte mucho.
Okay, we also had another question on the previous slide regarding the budget, if there will be staffing cuts. Yes, that's something we are looking at. When you look at a budget, the largest line item in a budget typically is personnel and staffing, right? And so when organizations and companies, doesn't matter what industry, if they're suffering on the financial side due to lost revenue, the number one place in order to save the organization is staffing cuts, unfortunately. So we're looking at that now as we speak.
Una de las preguntas que tenían alguien era sobre si vamos a tener recorte del personal. Y esa es una de las cosas que sí estamos ahorita discutiendo, porque como saben, en cualquier organización el salario, la nómina de personal es lo más costoso de cualquier organización. Y conforme estamos tratando de mantener OCEAA en trabajo, entonces esa es una opción definitivamente.
Okay. Gracias. So
I would just,
go ahead.
Sorry, I would just add, again, though, that the base of the budget is built around maintaining full staffing of our classroom teachers.
Pero al mismo tiempo mantener la misma cantidad de todo el personal certificado, ya que es lo que impactaría a nuestros estudiantes.
Because that is the one thing that is clear, that is the need. We don't know whether we can have PE. We don't know whether we can need supervisors for the lunchroom if there's not going to be the capacity to have lunch in the lunchroom. So that's why that the backbone is on the teaching core.
And Rosalinda, this is
una recorte en el grupo de certificado, ya que ahí es donde está todo. No sabemos si vamos a tener recreo y necesitamos personal ahí. Entonces, solamente me enfocando eso. ¿Vale?
Hay una pregunta en español, en español para ti, y luego I'll take the English one right now so you can read that one. So there was a question about moving everybody to the large building. That's something that we're looking at and possibly phasing out the annex in 2 years potentially. Right now, both of the buildings, we do get subsidized funding from the state. And again, we don't know what those cuts are going to be for the years to come. They're projecting a 2-year recession for public programs and state funding. And so that's something that we're looking at as well. Also, due to COVID and social distancing best practices, we've been advised by charter experts to keep our charter space to be able to continue to provide social distancing and provide some type of model when we dive into the fall.
So, la pregunta que acaba de contestar Mike sobre la posibilidad de movernos todos al edificio principal, y nos han recomendado que mantengamos cualquier edificio que podamos, porque ahorita que vamos a estar con el distanciamiento social, es importante tener opciones y salones adicionales. Entonces, no. The question if 6th grade and 8th grade, are they getting any summer packets?
Ms. Collins, as far as I know, right now, the plan is to focus on TK through 5th grade. For 7th and 8th, Ms. Collins, or 6th and 8th, or 6th and 7th?
They're talking about what would be the best way now. You know, packets for the older grades, it's not as easy to do because the content work is really based on not kind of like routine practice, but on more content-based assignments. So certainly there can be some robust online resources for students. They could continue to have access to many of the online resources that they've used for instruction now. So we're trying to see what would make sense for paper materials for our students. So it's not a no, it's just, it's not as clear what that might look like.
So, la respuesta es un poco incierta ahorita porque obviamente no se pueden dar el mismo estilo de paquetes para los de secundaria cuando los de primero y de quinto es más enfocado en rutinas y en su aprendizaje de esa manera. Entonces, obviamente estamos tratando de trabajar en recursos para los de secundaria, pero no en ese mismo estilo.
Okay. There was a question about if parents are able to come and volunteer to support teachers, things like that. One of the reopening guidelines that we will implement is also the reduction of external adults in the building, so parents, their family members, things like that. Also in an effort to reduce the amount of gatherings, right, and provide social distancing best practices. So at this point, we are not considering having volunteers on site, at least at the beginning of the school year.
Una pregunta que si pueden venir los padres a ayudar como voluntarios si tenemos recortes al personal y con el momento no, ya que debemos de mantener el distanciamiento y tener una cantidad mínima de personal o de personas en los edificios.
Okay, and the other question is kids at risk of getting cut, or do you expect kids will continue if there's kids back on site? Again, that's also an unknown. We have a call today with the Orange County, I forget their actual name, but the Boys and Girls Club of Central Orange Coast, I think is their name. They manage like 4 or 5 sites in Orange County, and I want to pick their brain as to what they're doing over there because they're subject matter experts in running after school programs, and we are not. Where our goal is, again, our academic program, right? Our mission is to achieve that goal. And so hopefully after that conversation today, we'll get some more, but also Camille has also been tasked with reaching out to her colleagues in that space to figure out what they're doing, what they're hearing, things like that. So at this point, it's an unknown, but whether the program transforms into a different approach that is more efficient and also provides social distancing and health approaches, we're going to have to do that to make it work.
Una de las preguntas es de que si kids está en riesgo de que sea recortado si los estudiantes regresan. Entonces es algo que estamos ahorita discutiendo y viendo las posibilidades. El señor Mike va a tener unas llamadas hablando con un equipo de personas que se especializan con programas después de clases. No necesariamente que va a ser completamente removido, pero tal vez va a cambiar un poco.
Okay, gracias. There was one more question. Is there a possibility that we may have 2 shifts to help with small class sizes? I think the question is staffing, maybe? With staffing, there's a lot of complexities with staffing, right? Full-time staff, health benefits, retirement benefits, things like that. So those are the things that we're taking into consideration. But as Ms. Collins alluded to, our teaching staff will be intact. And so we will work based on those contracts and agreements and things like that to make it work.
Actually, sorry, I want to just clarify what that question is referring to because, like I said, our class sizes are not growing larger. The reason for having 2 shifts would be because social distancing is required and we would simply not be able to have all of our students in the building at one time and implement, for example, having space, seats, and desks at least 6 feet apart.
So, la idea de tener 2 turnos es por la recomendación de distanciamiento social y no poder tener los escritorios separados. So, de ahí viene la idea de tener 2 turnos para poder continuar con la guianza que es recomendada, al igual el distanciamiento.
Muy bien. I just got another question in the chat. Thank you for everybody for your questions. This is really helping us understand where your minds are at. Patty threw out a question about, can we volunteer from home? I'm sure we can come up with something to put you to work at home. So yes, whether it's translating for me, whether it's developing content, whether it's supporting teachers, I don't know, we'll come up with something if parents are interested in volunteering from home. Rosalinda, do you want to translate that one? And then I've got one more question in Spanish. That was a private.
Can you do a quick recap? There was
If they can volunteer from home. So I said, yes, they can. We can find some stuff for them to do.
Una pregunta que tuvieron que si podían ayudar o voluntear a distancia y la respuesta es sí. Si hay trabajos pendientes que puedan trabajar desde casa, con mucho gusto se los pasamos.
Okay, muy bien. So the other question I got was regarding special education. What is going to happen to the students that need special education services? Ms. Collins, you want to take that one on?
I would love to. So as we've been kind of touching base on this topic over the course of the year, we are currently in the process of hiring a new special education team. We have just hired one of our education specialists or RSP teachers. She comes with great experience. She's Colombian, she speaks beautiful Spanish, and I think she's going to be a real asset to our team.
Tenemos a un miembro nuevo de educación especial, es colombiana, entonces creemos que tiene mucho que traer a nuestro equipo y estamos muy emocionados.
We have also hired a part-time school psychologist.
También hemos
psicólogo escolar
de medio tiempo.
Also comes with experience, Spanish speaker. We've hired 2 instructional aides.
También viene con experiencia y también hemos empleado a 2 asistentes, maestros auxiliares.
And we are continuing to interview for the other full-time teacher and counselor.
Estamos todavía entrevistando para el tiempo completo a maestra de educación especial.
So that's the first step there. While we are finishing our IEP meetings with students who are currently receiving services this year, I've been trying to let parents know that when we start again next year, for every student, we will hold a 30-minute placement meeting because we're changing from one staff to another and what's called a SELPA to another, essentially the umbrella organization, which we organize our special education program under. It's kind of like you're changing districts, even though you're not changing districts. But so we'll have a 30-minute meeting at the beginning of the year to check in, to make sure you meet the members of the team, to answer any questions about the IEP, and just start the year off with all people coming back to the table to make sure that we are ready to provide the needed services.
Ahorita estamos terminando las reuniones con todos los padres y estudiantes que tienen un IEP. Ese es el plan especializado o individualmente para el estudiante. También queremos compartirles que al principio del año vamos a darles la oportunidad de tener 30 minutos para platicar y conocer al equipo. Parece que estamos cambiando distritos, pero obviamente solamente el grupo es diferente al SELPA. Ya que no vamos a estar con el distrito, vamos a tener nuestro propio equipo acá. Entonces queremos asegurarnos que ustedes se sientan confortables y que conozcan a todos.
Okay.
Of course, and I just add, as soon as that team is established as a full team, I would also love to, share in a letter or some kind of announcement who will be coming on board, and as soon as we can, at the end of the summer or at registration time, be able to do some meet and greets.
También nos encantaría, ya que el equipo de educación especial está establecido, queremos o nos encantaría de alguna manera compartirlos con ustedes, ya sea por medio de una carta o un correo electrónico, para que ustedes sepan de quiénes van a impartir a nuestro equipo.
Okay, so there's a couple other little comments or questions in the chat. One I think was more of like, how are we going to practice social distancing with our younger learners, right? Such as kindergarten and TK. That is the issue that I've heard a lot of educators talk about. How are we going to have these little ones wear a mask all day? What if they have asthma? What if they da-da-da? Those are the things that we're following, and I'll toss it over to Ms. Collins to add a little bit more to this topic.
Una de las preguntas es de cómo vamos a mantener a los estudiantes más pequeños de que se dejen la máscara o de que estén practicando distanciamiento social. Es algo que estamos practicando y tratando de saber algo, pero Ms. Juan sí tiene algo que agregar.
Well, again, I can't give you a firm answer because the parameters are not yet firm in terms of the return to school guidelines. So we are, in fact, there was a good article in the OC Register today just about the frustration of those of us who are here at the sites trying to make plans, and there's just a lack of firm guidelines in terms of what is or is not required or what is or is not recommended. To be able to nail that down.
Nuevamente no les podemos dar una respuesta firme porque no hemos recibido una guianza firme de cómo vamos a regresar a clases. Es un poco, hay un poco de frustración con todas las personas que estamos tratando de planear todo esto porque obviamente que tienen preguntas, pero es difícil comunicarlo lo que no ha sido reafirmado porque tanto parece como que es requerido o no requerido, recomendado o no recomendados. Entonces, ahorita todavía no tenemos nada en concreto.
Okay. And the other question that's popped in here is about timelines as far as when are parents going to know what OCEAA's back to school models are going to look like. And again, that's going to be a really tricky one, but obviously we're working on a couple contingency plans as we talked about earlier. We understand that parents have to work in order to make a living. And now more than ever, I think the communities across the world are starting to see the value of schools, right? Not only just educating your students, feeding your students, and the childcare component of it is huge, right? And so that's something that is also in the back of our minds that we're trying to think through as well. Ms. Collins, we'll send it over to Rosalinda, and then if you want to add anything else with regards to your thoughts on timeline and things like that.
La pregunta es quieren saber más o menos cuándo se les va a notificar a los padres cuál módulo vamos a elegir. Ahorita todavía no sabemos, pero obviamente que tenemos en mente de que los padres tienen que trabajar y en estos tiempos se ha notado más el valor a la escuela y al componente de cuidado de los estudiantes porque pues obviamente nos está impactando a todos. Pero hasta ahorita todo está muy incierto. Ms. Collins, si tiene algo que agregar.
Yes, I would just add that it has been reported that supposedly some firm guidelines are going to be coming out soon from the California Department of Education. So we're all eager to hear those guidelines and be able to act on them.
Se nos ha notificado que van a estar mandando un poquito de guías más firmes del Departamento de Educación de California, entonces estamos esperando esta información.
Okay. The last question I see, well, I guess one just popped up right now. And Rosalinda, I'll send it to you so you can read it while I talk about this question.
Okay,
so
wait, because if I read it and you speak, then I lose.
Oh, that's true. This one should be easy, so don't worry. It's about communication. There's a question about, are we going to continue to communicate to the incoming kindergarten or new students, right? Yes. We are going to continue to work on communication. And we're still trying to understand what your best form of communication is, whether it's social media, school messenger, school dojos. So feel free to email us and let us know so we can continue to enhance those processes. But yes, we will continue to keep everybody up to speed on all our plans with reopening, things we hear, challenges that we'll be facing, so that way you can plan your days.
So, obviamente nosotros no sabemos cuál es la mejor manera para que usted, de comunicación para usted, si es por medio de las redes sociales, o correo electrónico o llamada, pero conforme nos va llegando la información y vamos implementando algún plan, nosotros le vamos a comunicar de las maneras que hemos estado practicando, que son esas, las redes sociales, School Messenger y llamadas si es necesario. Pero si en todo caso tiene alguna idea para que nosotros sepamos cuál es la mejor manera. Siéntase libre en comunicarse con nosotros a nuestros correos electrónicos o que puede encontrar en el sitio web.
Yes, and then just to add a little bit more, there was a question regarding please just not social media. So we've been trying to get weekly bulletins out with the same information that is on social media. Keep us posted if you think things aren't working, because again, we can just continue to grow and innovate, because we want to make sure you're getting the latest and greatest information. Our open rates for School Messenger are low, so please, for the folks that don't open our emails, please open our emails.
So, para las personas que no prefieren las redes sociales, estamos tratando o vamos a estar mandando las actualizaciones del boletín semanales para que mantengan más informados y por favor lea los correos electrónicos.
Okay, I got another question or slash bringing back a question that was, I think, confusing for some of us. So the question or suggestion is about reducing the students' time to help with social distancing. So reducing the time the students are on campus. And yes, that's something that we're definitely looking at to continue to practice social distancing. And Ms. Collin, I don't know if you want to add or sprinkle anything in with that topic.
Yes, that is certainly one option that I'm sure you're hearing about other districts and other schools talking about. It's something we're talking about. It really just, again, comes down to what are the firm and hard guidelines. They have to come out on the front end. We can't wait till August to know what the firm guidelines are, even as things may change between now and August. Because we just can't plan without knowing what some of the basic assumptions are.
Nuevamente la guía debe de venir pronto. Esa es una de las cosas que estamos hablando porque sabemos que otros distritos y escuelas están practicando o la posibilidad de tener 2 turnos para minimizar la cantidad de estudiantes para que puedan practicar un poco más la distanciamiento social. Pero necesitamos algún tipo de guía para que nosotros podamos planificar, aún a pesar de que a lo mejor de hoy a agosto cambien cosas, que cambie alguno y tengamos que hacer modificaciones nosotros también.
Okay, go ahead. Did you have something else to say, Ms. Collins?
Well, I really respect and appreciate how challenging this is for our parents. And I think it really we're not going to make everybody happy. At a certain point, we're going to have to say your kids come to school every other day, or your 4th grader starts at 8 and your 6th grader starts at 1. And it's going to be messy and there's no way around that. But we are going to do the best that we can to make a plan that for parents who especially have multiple children, that can be coherent and that can be just designed to work as best it can for everyone.
Solamente queremos avisarles o decirles, comunicarles que nosotros vamos a tratar de hacer lo mejor que podamos, tener en mente de que algunos padres van a tener o tienen varios niños en la escuela. Todo esto es difícil, es un gran reto para nosotros. Pero obviamente que no podemos mantener a todos contentos porque van a haber guías, ¿verdad? Van a haber restricciones, van a haber que a lo mejor hay ciertos estudiantes que van a venir ciertos días, algunos grados van a empezar a ciertas horas, entonces tengamos un poquito de paciencia y igual nosotros estamos felices de escucharles sus comentarios, pero al final de cuentas nosotros estamos también tratando de hacer lo mejor que podamos con los recursos que tenemos.
Gracias. Lots of questions. Muchas preguntas. Muchas gracias, everybody. There was I think a comment for you, Ms. Collins, with regards to Maria has a 4th grade student. Can you please communicate with me via School Dojo for summer packets? And so we'll make sure to communicate that to teachers.
Okay. And so entering 4th grade, would you want the packets that 3rd grade students going to 4th grade would get? We could do that, yes. So we could make sure that we have one for you.
Gracias. Okay, muy bien. All right, so moving, I'm just going to read this list real quick. It's not very fun, but this is kind of what the CDE released, I think it was last week, with regards to schools reopening. So of course, cleaning and disinfecting frequently, limiting the use of shared supplies, toys, equipment, space seats and desks at least 6 feet apart. And I'm not checking the chat, so if you guys can take a look to see if there's anything that's missing, Rosalinda, Kristen, or anybody. Let's see, install barriers and sneeze guards where needed, or tape lines or floors on sidewalks like you've seen at grocery stores, things like that. Close all communal spaces like cafeterias, dining halls, and playgrounds. Have children bring their own meals as an option, or serve individually plated meals. And that's something that our Garden Grill team, manager supervisor Susie, is working on a variety of plans as to how we can deliver meals into the classroom. Staggered arrival and drop-off times to limit contact between students and parents, just like we talked a little bit about earlier. Let's see. Go ahead. Oh, perdón.
Algunas son guías del CDC para la reapertura. Limpiar y desinfectar frecuentemente, limitar el uso de útiles compartidos, juguetes o equipo, mantener una distancia entre los escritorios al menos 6 pies, instalar barreras o guardias para el estornudo si es necesario, poner tape en las líneas, en los pisos, en los sidewalks, en los lados de las calles, limitar las áreas donde se une mucha gente comunitaria, como cafetería, el patio. Tal vez otra opción es de que los estudiantes traigan sus comidas o que se sirvan platos individuales empaquetados en los salones, y tener llegada y departura limitada para limitar el número y el contacto de estudiantes y padres.
There's a couple additional questions that popped up that we talked a little bit about earlier. Ms. Collins, do you mind just quickly talking a little bit about the 6th grade summer packets? Just as a recap, and you're on mute. And then the second question, go ahead.
Para la pregunta, I'm just going to repeat what Kristen said earlier for the 6th grade.
We had a bunch of people that showed up like halfway through the coffee chat. So, and está grabado. This session is recorded also, but we'll just do a quick little announcement.
Para los padres que están teniendo preguntas sobre paquetes de verano para los estudiantes de 6º a 8º, comentamos de que es las prácticas o los paquetes que se les está dando de TK a 5º están más enfocados en las materias que ven, al igual en las rutinas que los estudiantes de primaria tienen. Para los niños de 6º a 8º grado es un poco más difícil formar paquetes porque son un poquito más complejos, pero para ellos están tratando de hacer una lista o tener como recursos en línea para que ustedes puedan usar durante el verano. Did I get that right, Kristen?
Yes, so it's just, we are developing that. It may not be a packet like it looks like for the elementary students, but we would like to be able to provide some resources for that. So maybe it might be that we send home a social studies textbook with your child. You can encourage your child to read and complete any of the activities in that book.
Okay, so todo eso está aún desarrollándose. Pero va a ser distinto, no va a ser en forma de paquete, tal vez sea un libro, mandarle con una lista de preguntas sobre el libro, pero es actividades que los estudiantes pueden hacer.
I also got another question about KEDS, and if it's completely out of the question, no, it's not. That's something that we're looking at to figure out how to make it more efficient based on the resources funding that we have. We understand the importance of childcare for yourselves, so we're trying to make sure that we continue to provide some type of support on that front. So more to come on that. So just continue to follow us on all our communication platforms, please. Go ahead.
Sobre KEDS, pero no es completamente fuera del contexto. Vamos a tratar de tener algún tipo de opción porque sabemos que todos ustedes tienen trabajo. Entonces estamos trabajando todavía en eso.
Okay, so the last topic of discussion that I have is, and I've talked about this before, student pickup items or drop off of loaner devices, things like that. So the first week of June is when basically we'll be rolling out this plan, and we're working on communication for that. That will basically cover library books, loaner technology, student personal items that they left in the classroom, their yearbooks. If they purchased a yearbook, we used to have the option to purchase a yearbook, the jogathon prizes if you participated in that, and then any medication pickup, things like that. So more information to come via our communication platforms.
Algo que queda pendiente es sobre la semana de junio para recoger la colecta de estos artículos o también para recoger esos artículos como los libros de biblioteca, equipo de tecnología que aún tengan, artículos personales de los estudiantes, los anuarios, el trotatón y medicamentos. So se les va a comunicar cómo vamos a hacer.
And if you want to buy a yearbook, feel free to reach out to Camille Hazel to purchase your yearbook.
Y si aún quiere comprar el anuario, por favor comuníquese con la señora Camille Hazel. Su correo electrónico es de Camille Hazel, Hazel.
And the last question I got right now, what about school pictures? During this week, you also have the option to pick up your school pictures. So please reach out again to Camille. She leads that effort. So if you want to pick up your pictures before the end of that first week of June, you can do so, or you can wait until we get back to school.
Comuníquese con la señorita Hazel para si tiene que recoger o comprar anuarios o recoger sus fotos de este año.
Awesome. And then don't forget, we also have the virtual book fair, which I believe ends the 31st of May. Again, information is on our social media, or look up a previous school bulletin on that information. Support where you can, right?
También el apoyo a la venta de libros virtual, si gusta y si puede apoyar, se lo agradecemos mucho.
Hey, so this was my sneak peek that I was talking about earlier. Talked a little bit about we're doing appointment slots for our 8th grade promoting class, and they're coming in and doing a video segment that we will create a really awesome video composition of our promoting class that we will potentially share on social media. So keep an eye out for it. And then if anyone has additional questions, feel free to add them in the chat or unmute yourselves.
Sorry, I missed what you said on this one.
The 8th graders doing the little video presentation for their promotion next week.
Okay. So,
and then any questions?
Solamente un
anuncio
sobre cómo los estudiantes de octavo grado están haciendo videos y fotos para lo que vamos a estar compartiendo con ustedes. Si algunos tienen alguna pregunta o comentarios.
Where can we find the classroom code for the book fair? Our child's teacher gets credit. Miss Patty, do you have any updates on that? Or I don't know who's running the book fair. FSO, someone from FSO? There's no class code.
Había una pregunta que si hay un código para que reciba crédito la maestra del estudiante y durante la venta de libros, y la respuesta es no hay un código.
Okay, and if anyone has any questions, again, feel free to reach out. But I also want to thank all the parents for your support during this time. It's been challenging for all the OCEAA staff to really reimagine how we're doing our traditional operations or programming, things like that. So thank you for your support and motivation during this challenging times.
Gracias a todos por su participación y por su apoyo durante estos tiempos, tanto la paciencia y el apoyo al personal de OCEAA y en general en su escuela.
Okay. Any last thoughts, anybody? We got a little thank you to Ms. Vicario, Ms. Ugalde. Their son really loves or enjoys the classes. Again, there's arts programming today virtually, so follow us on social media or school bulletin to get information to that.
Pregunta si vamos a tener charlas durante el verano, mientras que van cambiando las cosas, Mike.
¿Sí la pregunta? ¿Que si vamos a tener?
Yeah, there was a question if we're having coffee chats over the summer as things are changing.
Sure. Right now, we don't have any set dates for that, but if needed, we will make it happen. And so this is the official last one for this school year, but if we need to do another coffee chat, we will make it happen.
No tenemos nada agendado, pero ese es el último charla con café, pero si tenemos que hacerlo o agendarlo, lo haremos. Gracias a ustedes.
Okay, well, everybody have an awesome holiday weekend. Thank you for your support. Keep an eye out for our communication as to what's going to happen next.
Sounds good. Gracias, manténganse informados con nosotros.
Gracias a todos.
Cuídense mucho.
Bye, everybody.